When you think about mountain climbing, you probably picture a brutal physical test, right? Pure endurance. But on the volcanic peaks of Indonesia, it's something else entirely. We're talking about a journey into yourself, a run-in with the supernatural, and a crash course in life's toughest lessons.
There's this veteran climber and search and rescue guy, Mas Arya, and he just nails it with this quote. He gets right to the heart of why people push themselves to the absolute edge. It's not just for the Instagram shot at the top. It's for this feeling, a kind of self-reflection you just can't find down in the city.
So, how does a grueling, muscle-aching climb turn into a philosophical quest? Well, for these climbers, it's about way more than just planting a flag at the summit.
Think of it like this intricate dance. You're not just battling gravity. You're trying to manage your own mind when it's screaming at you to stop, your body's limits, your food and water, and even the personalities in your group. It's a whole discipline, actually. They call it management Pendakian, or climbing management, and it totally reframes the whole thing. It's not about just being the strongest person on the mountain. It's more like a science, coordinating every single piece of the puzzle, you and your team, to handle whatever nature throws at you. Honestly, it's the one thing that separates a great adventure from a total disaster.
Now, before we get into all the spooky stuff, let's just be real for a second. These mountains are no joke. The dangers you can actually see and touch are serious enough to demand your full respect and preparation.
And I mean very real risks. We're talking about getting completely lost as fog rolls in, coming face to face with a leopard on the trail, or one wrong step sending you into a ravine. That's the stuff climbing management is for. But all the preparation in the world can't help you with everything.
Because the real reason these climbs are so legendary, the stories people tell, they go way beyond physical risk. On these ancient peaks, the biggest dangers are the ones that don't follow any rules of logic or preparation.
All right, now we're getting into the stories that climbers only share in whispers around a campfire. Those experiences that just blur the line between what's real and what's something else. Let's start with Mas Arya's own story from a climb on Mount Argopuro. This was supposed to be a straightforward 4-day trek. Instead, it spiraled into an 8-day marathon that tested their sanity. And it all kicked off with a local who gave them this cryptic warning: don't climb at night, which of course they completely ignored. Just try to picture this. They wake up and the tent they were positive they pitched next to a calm lake is actually dangling on the edge of a massive cliff. It's like time and space just started messing with them. They get into a huge fight, go all the way back down the mountain, only to realize their mistake and have to climb it all over again. The whole thing ends with this brutal 32-hour hike down, and they're so exhausted and delirious, they see this white figure jumping around, and they just start throwing rocks at it, screaming, "You've picked the wrong people to mess with." Wild.
And as bizarre as that story is, another one is even more chilling. It's a pretty stark reminder that on these mountains, your words, your intentions, they have weight. A single careless comment unleashed something ancient.
The price for that one little joke? It came down to a single, terrifying number: 7.
Yep. Her joke about wanting to get married on the mountain was apparently taken as a serious proposal by something. And the possession wasn't just a one-time freakout up there. No. It followed her home, all the way back to the city. It happened 7 different agonizing times.
And through the woman, this entity described itself, and the details are pure nightmare fuel. Ancient, powerful, and just completely alien. The scariest part? It could recite holy scriptures, which made trying to perform an exorcism almost impossible. This was something way, way beyond our understanding. So, after all these absolutely harrowing stories, what's the lesson here? Well, these experiences, both the physical and the supernatural, they forge a special kind of wisdom. A survival code that works on the mountain, and it turns out in life too.
I mean, think about it. We all have these moments, right? That feeling of overwhelming panic when you are totally lost and have no idea which way to go. The mountain actually offers a beautifully simple answer.
And that answer is an acronym: STOP. Just stop. Then sit down, then think, then observe. And only then do you plan. It's a literal survival protocol for when you're lost in the wilderness, but look at it. It's also the perfect blueprint for handling any crisis in your life. You can't find your path forward until you first find your calm. And that idea builds into this whole philosophy of preparation. Mas Arya lists 7 keys to a successful climb, but look closely. Only a couple of them are about being physically fit. The rest, It's all about your mind, what you know, and your ability to make good decisions. Being truly ready has almost nothing to do with the size of your muscles.
And that brings us to the biggest lesson of all, the one learned on these mystical summits. The climb up the actual mountain, well, that's just the warm-up for the real journey.
We've all heard that old saying, right? If you really want to know your friend, climb a mountain with them. But climbers like Mas Arya, they offer this profound correction. The mountain isn't a test for your friends, it's a mirror you hold up to your own soul. When you're exhausted, freezing, and pushed right up against your limits, the real you comes out. There's no hiding. The mountain just strips away all the social masks we wear, and you're forced to look at who you really are. You stop pointing fingers at everyone else, and you start to ask, wait, am I the problem here?
And that, right there, is the heart of it all. Reaching the physical peak is just a point on a map. The real summit, the true victory, is conquering your own internal landscape. Your ego that wants to pick a fight, your fear that tells you to panic, and all those limitations you told yourself you could never break through.
So that leaves us with one last thought. You don't have to go scale a volcano to get this kind of clarity. The principles are the same for everyone. So take a look at your own challenges, your own struggles. That's your mountain. The only question is, how are you preparing for the climb?